Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of the Team Daddy Weekly Recap. I am your host, Shapiro the Hero, aka Daddy Dreidels. Another regular season has come and gone, and so too have the hopes and dreams of four courageous young men cut short just shy of their goal. But on the flip side, it's time for the Team Daddy Fantasy Playoffs. I'll take you around the league for the regular season finale, and I'll have a breakdown of each playoff matchup. It's all coming up right after this word from our sponsor. This week's sponsor is Discovery Zone. With the kids out of school and the weather getting colder, do you need somewhere for the kids to run around that isn't your house? Check out Discovery Zone. With lots of indoor play space, climbing towers, and a delicious assortment of foods, Discovery Zone was truly ahead of its time as the place for kids to just run free. Alas, in 2001, Discovery Zone closed all of its locations for good, so they're not around anymore. Discovery Zone, the original place for a kid to be a kid. We'll start off our recap with the battle for first place as Big John and Zach faced off to determine the number one seed for the playoffs. And at the end of the day, Big John returned to dominance in a big way as he took down Zach 195.5 to 151.8. Michael Wilson led the scoring for Big John with 45.7 points, and Big John also got 43.2 points from Puka Nacua. After losing two of his last three games, Big John was able to put an exclamation point on a spectacular regular season as he led all of Team Daddy in scoring this week to earn himself $20. As for Zach, he was led by Jameer Gibbs with 39 points, but takes an L in his regular season finale. But this matchup is no reflection on Zach's overall season, as he goes into the playoffs as the number 2 seed at 9-5. He will take on Armenti in the first round, while 10-4 Big John locks up the number 1 overall seed and will face Swans in the opening round of the postseason. Speaking of Swans, he snuck into the playoffs in the 11th hour by virtue of a 134.05 to 107.4 victory over Kyle. Quarterback Josh Allen was the highest scoring player in Week 14 with 50.35 points, earning Swans $10 along with that playoff spot. Not to be outdone, Swans got 25.1 points from CD Lamb before he left the game with a concussion, making his playoff availability less than certain. On the other sideline, Kyle was led by Trevor Lawrence with 25.8 points, but falls in the regular season finale despite locking up a postseason berth the week before. Kyle finishes the regular season at 7-7 and will go into the playoffs as the 6th seed. He will take on Steve in round 1. Meanwhile, Swans grabbed the 8th and final playoff spot at 6-8 and will be rewarded with a first-round matchup against Big John. The last team to lock up a playoff spot this week was Armenti, as he snuck in thanks to a 147.25 to 112.05 win over George. Matthew Stafford led the way for Armenti with 32.05 points, and Armenti also got 18.5 points from Chase Brown. It was an up-and-down year for Armenti as he ranged all over the standings from second to second worst. But at the end of it all, he locks up the 7th seed at 6-8 and will take on Zach in the first round of the playoffs. As for George, he was led by Jared Goff with 24.25 points, but there will be no repeat this year as George is officially eliminated from the playoffs with this loss. It was largely a disappointing year for George, who showed potential for back-to-back shifts early on, but just could not stay healthy enough to maintain his momentum. George finishes the regular season in last place and will take on Brett in the consolation bracket. Speaking of Brett, he ended the regular season with a win over PJ, 161.6 to 123.1. Jordan Love led the scoring for Brett with 35.6 points, and Brett also got 20.7 points from Kyron Williams. Despite his victory in this must-win game, Brett's point total for the season was not enough to get him into the playoffs. As for PJ, he was led by Dak Prescott with 30.2 points, but also misses the playoffs with a 5-9 record. After a disappointing year for the commish, he enters the consolation bracket as the 10 seed and will take on Josh in the Toilet Bowl semifinals. As for Brett, he ends the year 6-8 but finishes in 9th place, almost 200 points back of Swans in 8th. Brett and George will face off in the consolation bracket, with the loser going to the Toilet Bowl. Our final participant of the consolation bracket will be Josh, who dropped his regular season finale to Steve, 125.3 to 104.3. Zay Flowers led the way for Steve with 27.6 points, and Steve also got 22.6 points from Nico Collins. Having already locked a playoff spot 2 weeks ago, Steve did make a push for the top spot, but ultimately came up short. On the other sideline, Josh was led by Josh Jacobs with 20.2 points, but misses out on a playoff spot after a roller coaster season. Josh ends the year at 5-9 and will take on PJ in the consolation bracket at the 11th seed. As for Steve, he ends the year at 9-5, which is good enough for third in the standings. He will take on Kyle in round 1 of the playoffs. To close out the regular season, Jed and I faced off in a battle of two teams locked into the playoffs but fighting for seeding. And when the clock showed zeros, it was Jed who put an end to my winning streak with a 165.75 to 125.7 victory. Christian Watson led the scoring in this matchup with 29.4 points, and Jed also got 28.1 points from Jackson Smith and Jigba. Despite an up-and-down season, Jed quietly put together a very good year, finishing the season as the 5th seed and winning 3 of his final 4 games to lock down a playoff spot. As for my team, I was led by Travis Etienne with 21.7 points, but may have been hit with the injury bug at the worst possible time, as Devon Achane left his game early and is questionable to play this week. With Drake London already out as well, I could be facing an uphill battle in round 1. I end the year as the 4 seed, something that did not look even remotely possible just a few weeks ago. Nevertheless, Jed and I are both 8-6 following our Week 14 matchup, and will square off once again in the opening round of the playoffs. Here's how the 2026 postseason breaks down for Team Daddy. In the playoff bracket, we have number 1 Big John taking on number 8 Swans, Jed and I going at it in the 4-5 matchup, number 3 Steve taking on number 6 Kyle, and 2nd seed Zach facing off against 7th seed Armenti. In the consolation bracket, it will be 12th seeded George against 9th seeded Brett, and number 11 Josh taking on number 10 PJ. With the postseason officially underway, I would like to wish everybody luck in their pursuit of glory or avoidance of punishment. Remember that weekly winners are still in effect throughout the end of the year, so even if your matchup doesn't mean anything, you can still win money. So remember to set those lineups. Thank you as always for watching. This has been your Team Daddy Weekly Recap. I am your host, Ship Hero the Hero, and I will see you next time. L'chaim, motherfuckers!